All right, guys. Welcome back. EYL, we are on location, special location
Special
right
location. We are in New York, though.
Yes. NBA headquarters. We are at the G League suite. Is this the G League suite?
We're going to call it the G League Suite.
Go, the G League.
This is now the G League suite.
Take over.
You know, anytime you're in New York City, you're in the corner office, you're important.
For sure. So Shareef Abdur-Rahim, basketball legend, but now is the president of the NBA G League. So we actually are going to be announcing some exciting things that EYL and G League will be doing together. So
it's all making sense.
Yeah, it's fitting to have this conversation. We're going to be talking about all things business related when it comes to sports, the G League, marketing, promotion, and of course, you know, his interesting journey from Atlanta to
third pick,
Canada to now running the G League.
Yeah, the kids these days will probably not remember there was a franchise in Vancouver, but there was a franchise in Vancouver
for sure,
and this was the franchise player
for sure.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, and thank you. I said this off camera, but thank you for everything you're doing. You know, I think educating, you know, all of us, exposing people. You know, I just shared. I took a clip, you know, just recently and shared it with my younger brother who's interested in real estate. So you know, what you guys are doing is phenomenal and empowering to a lot of people. So
thank you.
I appreciate it. So
that's what it's about.
All right, so let's get into it. So first, I'll give the backstory for anybody that doesn't know. So yeah, you're from Atlanta.
Yep.
McDonald's All-American, one of the best players. And then you went to Georgia Tech.
I went to Cal, Berkeley.
Cal, and then
Pac-10 freshman of the year.
Yep.
And then you have an illustrious career in the NBA. But a lot of people struggle after their post-playing career, right? Now it's like the lottery to try to become a broadcaster, but only few people can actually really be successful as a broadcaster. And a lot of guys, you know, they're just trying to figure it out. They make money. Some people have not made great decisions with their money and they fall on financial hardships. But you're somebody who obviously has figured it out after his career, and now you're an executive, you know, in the NBA, you know, running the G League. So I first want to just, you know, what was that transition like for you? Was this something that you always kind of had in mind, that you wanted to stay in sports, but on an executive level? And mentally, how was it transitioning from being a star basketball player your whole life to now, you know, being a regular citizen?
Yeah. You know, one, I think the transition like starts at the beginning, you know, and I kind of picked that up from like, you know, the Magic Johnsons, the Isaiah Thomas, the guys before me who I saw do really well as they transitioned from playing and just talking to them and understanding things that they were doing, meeting people, learning, being curious while they were playing. And so I said it started there. When I retired, I had the opportunity. I retired with the Sacramento Kings. I retired early. You know, my knee, you know, I had some trouble with my knee and I couldn't, you know, the last 3 years of my contract, I couldn't play. And, you know, in the NBA, contracts are guaranteed. So I was still getting paid, but I couldn't play. And the organization asked me to stay and help out, and you know, help out with, you know, mentor some of the younger players. And what the guy who was the president, then a guy named Jeff Petrie, what he allowed me to do was to, you know, he asked me to mentor and help younger players, but you know, go do whatever else you want to do. So I would go and I would meet with the CFO. I'd go meet with the person who was over marketing, you know, all the areas of the organization I had never had exposure to. And, you know, what that did for me was just opened up like the idea that this is a business and like, wow, all these, you know, we had this media deal going on and this marketing deal. And okay, so when you guys asked us to come to this, you know, mixer, you know, to this, you know, social engagement, this is really what it was about. So I spent 2 years doing that. I was, you know, kind of the one and done era. I was at the front of that, myself and Stephon Marbury. But in this time that I'm, you know, playing in the NBA and, you know, now transitioning, I was trying to finish school. So you know, I'm in Sacramento, you know, the Northern California, Berkeley was about an hour away. So during this time I went and I finished my undergrad at Berkeley. You know, from there, you know, I kind of worked in some different areas in sports and, before long, I kind of transitioned. I went back and got my master's. And when I finished, that led me, back here to the NBA. I'd done an internship here at the NBA one summer. So long story short, that led me, but it came just from being curious, not wanting, just my playing career to be the end of, what I could contribute and what I could do. I wasn't sure exactly, where it would lead me and what I would do. But it's been, again, I think I've been able to take my experience playing, my experience around the business, and now, cultivate that into, leading the G League.
So, I mean, that's interesting, right? Because most people, when they think intern, they think, all right, that's the person that's going to do the job for free, that's going to learn on the fly. Being a star, being an all-star, right? Going from that part of life to now being an intern and having to start over again in a different realm. Was there any anxiety, any angst, or did you have that year of that you were going around meeting CFOs? It really prompted you to say, all right, I'm comfortable in these settings. I'm going to attack this thing head on. I'm going to start from the beginning. I'm going to work my way up.
Well, I was like, I did it. I was in, so, after a number of years with the Kings organization, I left and, I went and went to grad school, went to business school. And in between my first year and my second year, I was like, I want to experience. I want to, go learn, just be in a regular setting. It's hard to do that. So I made some calls and emailed some people, and Mark Tatum, who's the deputy commissioner, I got in touch with him and I was telling him what I was doing. The story I tell is like I was like all over the place. And he was like, look, okay, we'll figure it out. But I ended up, interning here at the NBA. And, what I did, honestly, I borrowed from my background. Like, you got to start somewhere, like even in, LeBron didn't show up being LeBron. Jordan didn't show up being Jordan. Nobody, you have to, you kind of have to start where you are. We all need people to help us and educate us. And then you have to be willing to do the work and kind of, be open enough to learning. So in that part of it, like I was fine. Some anxiety. You don't know what you don't know, but, you're willing to learn and kind of, ingratiate yourself to people in a way that, people are willing to help and show you the way. So, for me, I never, I never, got so tied to the idea of, like that was nice. But, when I was young, I read a thing that said that, if all I did in life was, like this thing, and that's all people knew me for, then I did a poor job of living. So I never wanted that to just be, what I was known for, the only thing that I could do. So I never, I tried not to, just be labeled as, a basketball player.
So, all right, so let's get into this G League conversation. So everybody knows about the NBA, right? And they kind of heard about the G League, Development League. Can you explain exactly what the G League is, how it works, the teams, all that, to kind of give people a greater, idea of the G League? So
the G League and, in its, first iteration, the NBA Development League, now G League, Gatorade League, we're in our 22nd year of, existence. We are the official development league, affiliate league of the NBA. So if if somebody's a baseball fan, you think of minor league baseball, AAA baseball. And we are, if you are a player and maybe it didn't happen for you out of college, in years past, the G League, D League then is where you would come to hone your skills, continue to grow. Just continue to, in some cases you're there, you're ready, just wait for opportunity. So, Seth Curry, Steph's younger brother, spent, 4 or 5 years with us. Jordan Poole, before he really, took off, he, spent some time with us. Jeremy Lin, countless, players. I think now the status, somewhere over 50% of current NBA players have G League experience. So, everything from, players that were passed up in the NBA draft, young NBA players. Last year, half of the lottery picks spent time in the G League. Half of the first round spent time in the G League. So, players that were passed up in the draft, young NBA players trying to, find their way, develop their game. They're so, 18, 19, 20 years old, still trying to find a role for themselves with an NBA team. And now we have our Team Ignite, which is primarily made up of younger guys that will be draft eligible. So the Jalen Greens, in the past, Jonathan Kuminga, Scoot Henderson this past draft.
So what's the Team Ignite? Can you explain that?
So Team Ignite is a league, NBA, G League owned and operated team. They're based in Henderson, Nevada, right outside of Las Vegas. And that team plays in the G League. They play the same, schedule, same teams as everyone else. But it's primarily made up of young players that come from high school. Some come from abroad, come international, and that will, 1-2 years enter the NBA draft. So, again, Jalen Green now, everyone knows him. He started with us with Team Ignite.
So Scoot
Henderson this past draft started with us. So that's our league made up. We're 30, there's 30 NBA teams with 31 G League teams. We'll be 32. Phoenix is the only NBA team that doesn't have a connection to the G League. They'll be in. I feel really good in the real near future. And then we have a team in Mexico City, independent team, not connected to an NBA team. And then again, Team Ignite. So that's our league. That's our purpose. That's what we do. We're also a place where young coaches grow up. If you follow Nick Nurse, 76ers head coach, started with us.
Yeah, champion in both leagues.
Yeah. Yes. So you all of our officials, if you're an NBA official, you started in the G League. You developed and grew through the G League. We test rules. So if you watch, Coaches Challenge, new rule in the NBA, we did Coaches Challenge in the G League 4 or 5 years before it reached the NBA. We tested, we analyzed it. We can kind of show success rates going back, 4 or 5 years. So all of this we did. Shot clock. If you see the shot clock, it used to be always at there was a foul in between the play. It go from reset at 24. We started
14.
Yeah. We so that we're a league of innovation as well.
Yeah, so Ignite is interesting because not only does it give an alternative for the kid who wants to come out of high school and may not be eligible, right? I think that you have to be 1 year post-grad. They don't have to go overseas. I know that was a route that Melo took, and then prior to him, Brandon Jennings took. But they can get compensated differently, right? So I know the average salary for the G League, it might be, I don't know, anywhere between 50 and 100, but the guys who are looking like they're going to be a first-round pick or lottery pick, really top 5, they can take on a larger salary. The guys like Scoot Henderson, and we were talking about Dink. Talk about that process of them knowing that they're lottery picks and being able to take on salaries that are different from the average player.
Yeah. So it came from, the impetus of it came from just this idea of young, guys were looking for different paths. In my day, it was no question, it's high school, college. I was of the era of Kevin Garnett. And when he told us he was going to them, I was like, man, you crazy. It's going to kill you.
Right? He was 1 year before you.
Right? So, but you saw more and more young guys looking for different opportunities. We think we're a perfect place for guys to grow and develop. And with that, obviously, you want to be able to pay them their market rate. And so I think we've been able to do that with the Scoots and Kumingas and Jalen's. But in addition to that, we've also opened up, there's no restrictions on them what they can go and do beyond just, the salary they make playing in the G League. So Scoot, for example, while he was with us, he signed, we're a Nike league. He went and, signed a deal with Puma. Mm-hmm. Jalen had his suite of marketing partnerships and things. So this is, pre-NIL, they were able to go and, kind of be professionals, truly be professionals with no restrictions. So it's worked well in that regard. I think they, they're more than talented enough to play in our league. and then just the opportunities for them to kind of start their professional careers beyond, and then beyond the salary, we still pay, their tuitions, whether they want to start, college now or they want to start in the future, we pay for them to go to school. We have, what I kind of think of as a whole suite of, like practical education, financial literacy. We start teaching them about the CBA. Now they have other, interests. We try to explore and help them, kind of start exploring those interests. So we try to, just comprehensive help them, on the court and off the court, develop and grow and prepare for the NBA.
So, okay. So what's the revenue model for the G League? Because obviously the NBA, television deals and a lot of money is generated, but people don't really see the G League on television. And they playing in much smaller arenas. Corporate sponsorships, I'm assuming, is a lot lower than what it is in NBA. So
the model is the same model. So still same, media, sponsorship, tickets. Same model is just smaller. Obviously, and then as a league to as we want to grow, like all of those areas of what we have to grow in. So we have the benefit of being connected and included in a lot of what the NBA does. So we have we have national.
So is the idea to be I think the WNBA wasn't. I don't know if they're even profitable now, but I know that obviously it's under the NBA umbrella, right? So does the NBA care about the G League being profitable?
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, we got to keep these lights on.
Yeah, definitely, no doubt. That's what I spend a lot of my time on. Is
so you find new ways to make it more profitable.
Finding new ways to help our teams be profitable, to grow the league to where it's profitable. In some ways, looking at our league and say, okay, like what's the next model for the G League? Like we, meaning the league, pays the players. In a typical model, say NBA, MLB, the teams pay the players, right? So, we're again, this was like the early days of the G League. It was like 8 teams. They were primarily in the Southeast. They were in places like Columbus, Georgia, and Roanoke, Virginia. We now, again, like, evolved. We're almost, 1-to-1 with our NBA teams. And, so, sometimes the question is, do we still have should it be, a different model now? Or, how do we grow, maybe even beyond just the 30 NBA teams to help us grow? What's the future? So that's what we spend a lot of our time on.
So that's interesting. So let's take the Knicks. We're here in New York. James Dolan is the owner of the Knicks. The Westchester Knicks are affiliate, but James Dolan doesn't pay the salary of the Westchester Knicks. That's up to the NBA.
Or the G League.
G League, right? Yeah. So then the revenue that's taken from those type of games, that goes back to the league as well?
No, that's the Westchester Knicks.
Westchester Knicks. Okay, good. So and when we talk about the teams, because they all have...
And let me be clear, the NBA and the NBA team, they support the G League in that, so that they have, that's how a player, any player, the Knicks can pull any player from any team that's a G League. That's how, so they have that ability because they support, they contribute to the G League. But, it's still, areas and ways where we have to, as a league, grow.
So we'll stay with the Knicks. If in that event, if they have a player that is on Westchester and they get called up, I guess if we're looking at farm system or developmental leagues, when they get the call up, they can sign something that's called like a 2-way contract.
They can do that. You can, so you can have in our rosters, you can have, again, it could be, young NBA players that are assigned, so they be contracted NBA players. So we hear it's the Knicks, Manuel Quickly probably wouldn't be, but let's just say, he comes to a young player. He could be assigned to our league, Westchester Knicks. You could have, a player that was undrafted that's just a G League contracted player that, again, the league is paying, the G League is paying. And you can have then, this third contract that you mentioned, a 2-way contract. Those players are still, for the most part, contracted 2-way players.
So
or contracted NBA players.
Okay.
So this ignite conversation. So it's always been issues with players that want to come straight to the NBA, right? Ever since they stopped. But now it's a lot of different things have happened over the course of the last 20 years. But at one point, it looked like players were going to start going overseas. We saw Brandon Jennings went overseas and LaMelo Ball, but that never really went anywhere other than a couple cases. Then OT starts their thing. They're still kind of figuring out how that's going to work out. Do you think that Ignite at some point will be like a primary choice for top high school players to go to instead of going to college?
I think it can be. I think we are in a position to be able to facilitate it. I think the what you have now, and I think is a good thing, is them having the option to like make decisions for themselves. So and you always had you always had it. I don't think it has to be. Honestly, to that, I don't think it has to be, G League or Ignite or, college or anything else over, one choice. Like, again, like in my time, Tim Duncan stayed 3 extra years of college. He probably could have been the number 1 pick, 2 or 3 years in a row and came. So, like, you've always had that, option of, but at that time it was just college or the NBA. And I think now it's,
Well, they stopped. So Jalen Rose, we interviewed Jalen Rose. Shout out to Jalen Rose. He had an interesting perspective on his take was that the only sports that don't let players come straight out of high school are sports that are dominated by black people. He was like, when you have tennis, it's normal. Soccer, people are playing at 15 years old. And every other sport pretty much. But he was like, basketball and football, it's interesting that those sports don't allow you to come straight out of high school. And by not allowing you to come out of high school, there's a lot of other people that's making a lot of money, millions and billions of dollars, whether it's colleges, whether it's whatever. So what's your thoughts on specifically basketball players not being able to come? Because there was a point, some of the best players of all time have come out of high school. The greatest player of all time, right? LeBron.
Arguably.
So,
arguably.
So, what's your thoughts on
arguably with you?
What's your thoughts on players
arguably
coming out of high school, and how does that impact?
Yeah, I think it. Look, in this era, again, like the idea that you have the option. I think with NIL now, with what we're doing with the G League, if it's overtime, if it's abroad, the fact that a young person can go and make money and take care of themselves, that in the way that they choose to. So if I can go to school and if I could have went to school and made X amount of money, like that would in my situation, that would have been like a world of difference. So it was less about like the control of entering the NBA or wherever, and it was the ability to be able to like take care of yourself and earn a salary and earn money based on other people profiting on you. I think that, to me, I think that's really important. Like when you get into the age and the at what point, all those things are like collectively agreed upon between like leagues and players, right? Like so. That part I don't. I think the part that is like really important is that the players have the options and the abilities to be able to go and start making money, monetize, take care of themselves.
Do you think that players should be able to go to the NBA straight out of high school?
I think they are. I think it's something that's good enough. Mm-hmm. I think it's something that's good enough. I think, obviously it's something that's good enough. But to say all of them, again, like it has to work for like both sides. It has to work for the leagues. Yeah. It has to work for the players, and the players have to agree that's the right thing. The leagues have to agree, have to get together to agree that this group of players should be able to be a part of our league. I think for us, from a G League standpoint, having that option, I think it helps some of that conversation.
I feel like every time we hear that conversation, it's like, yes, there's a LeBron James, there's a Kobe Bryant, Tracy McGrady, but there's also a Corleone Young from your age, from your day, where it's like, or Lenny Cook who doesn't make it. But I want to stay with Ignite because I feel like the spreading and the growth of the brand is kind of not reliant, but it has a big purpose in having Ignite as a showcase team in a sense, where I remember last year when it was like, we all heard about Victor Wembanyama, when will we be able to see him to play? And it was like, okay, he's going to play versus Scoop in Ignite. And it was like, okay, now the focus is now on the league, right? We get to see the kids from Ignite, and now we get to see Vic. How is scheduling for that, right? Because that's not a regular team that's playing. They're playing an international team. And I know now we have another showcase. We have another star that's coming from France. And now you have Ron Holland on Ignite, who we all thought was going to Texas, is now on Ignite. How does that work in terms of scheduling and making it a showcase game?
Yeah, I mean, it's the coordination of it, you're trying to, obviously connect with, we're a league, you're trying to connect with a league. In this case, an international league, and kind of tie in the timing of their season with the timing of our season, and take one team and bring them here. So I mean, it gets it's not seamless. Like it's there's a lot of moving parts to it, and their Victor, their team played in the LNB Pro A League in France. So like the timing of their schedule of their league games to be able to come here and play those games against Ignite. Again, they had to do some things on their end to make it work. We had to do some things to make sure it made it work. This season we brought in the team from Australia, Perth, and they matched up against Ron and Matas Bruzelis. The idea is, again, like it started in, say with Scoot and Victor, and you take, the two most highly touted players in that draft. Again, this year, with Ron and Alex Sarr, same thing, two of the top highly touted. Like when, again, like bringing this talent from around the world and allowing people to be able to, see them, witness them before they, get to the NBA. I think we all remember, seeing, say, LeBron and Carmelo play in their like high school game at that time, and how legendary that was. My thought is like some years later, people will remember seeing Scoot and Victor, and that will be in that's in a G League game essentially. So, part of what we want to be able to do as a league is, introduce, the best young players around the world to people, ahead of the NBA.
Is there a process, right? If a kid is super talented, let's say, he's top 10 in his high school class, is there a process for them to become a member of Ignite? Or like, how do you do that? Do you sit down with 20 guys and say, all right, these 5 or these 3 are the ones that we're going to allow to be on the team? Or is there a tryout process?
I mean, it's I think it's probably more of an education process. And like it doesn't fit for everyone. Like everyone won't, think it's the right decision for them. Like this year, the Ignite team this year had more draft eligible, I think 8. Like that's the most like we've had, in the league at one time. And then I think, throughout the league, we probably have another 8 or 10. That's, something a lot of people don't know. Like there are other, guys that can go in the draft. They just play on our, other, standard G League teams. So like the opportunity is there. We explain, Coach Jason Hart is the coach. He explains it to, everyone. Andre Barrett is like our program director. They explain it. You remember Dre.
It's crazy. You saying Jason Hart, I remember him playing at Syracuse.
Yeah. So they explain, like to families and educate them, and this is what it's about. And for the most part, so far, I think we're, kind of growing to a point, where, one team to, for that demographic of players is tough. But, we've been able to, take care of the guys and get them opportunity.
So, okay. So for the star player, they're obviously going to make a lot more money in Europe, right? But I guess the advantage of the G League is that it's easier call up.
It's the proximity.
It's easier call up, right?
Yeah, it's the, if you, again, like I played last night in Westchester or Long Island, and, Brooklyn needs a player or is looking at a player. I mean, you have, NBA executives, NBA scouts, personnel, every G League game. So and in some cases, they're talking and have players as a part of their development system. Even though they're not quite yet at the NBA level, they're taking an interest in seeing them grow and develop.
So is this a conversation that GMs or coaches have with players' agents to try to convince them, like, look, you're going to make more money in Greece, but this is why you should play in the G League? Or
yeah, if you really, I think the idea is like if you really believe you're an NBA player, like there's no, I let the team basketball people say this, but like they say like the G League is the second best
league in the world. Yeah,
right.
So do you think it's the second best league in the world?
I don't. I don't. Like fully. Like if you take our league with, yes, and I say that because if you take our league with young NBA players, G League players in its strongest form, like it's like the level of basketball, I think the quality of basketball is only second to the NBA. And again, if you truly believe you're an NBA player and you're a young player, and that's what you're going for, is maybe you can make a little more money somewhere else, but it's nowhere that you're gonna get an opportunity to show that than playing in the G League.
What is the call-up process?
Yeah, simply, if you, again, we use the Knicks because we're here, right? I'm the Knicks, and I have an open roster spot, or I need a particular player. Player's injured. I call that player's agent. Hey, we're interested. We're gonna sign them. We want to sign X player. Sometimes it's what we have like 10-day contracts, where it's a 10-day contract where you get paid a certain rate over 10 days, or sometimes it's two-way. We want to sign them to a two-way contract, or at times just a standard contract for that season or beyond. And then you alert the player and the team, and usually 24, 48 hours they in market.
They're calling their parents like, I got the call up.
Yeah.
So in terms of the salaries for the team, is there a cap that the league has set for each team? And like, what's the average salary per player?
These are good questions. So all of our players make the same, meaning the G League pays all of our players the same salary. $41,500 is a G League salary
For everybody.
for every player. Now there was a time, again, like earlier iterations, we had these things. Some people they won't even, like Mark, you guys won't even remember this, but we had like A contract, B contract, C contracts, and kind of tiered, and we got rid of that. So, but that's the standard G League salary, right? But then you also you have players that go to NBA training camp and they get paid a certain amount of money for they may go to training camp and they get a certain amount of money. They get a 10-day contract. We talked about or they on a 2-way contract. They move. So the average salary for a G League player is closer to probably $100,000 than that that salary they get paid from playing in the G League.
Yeah, I was looking at that and I was trying to figure. I'm like, I saw the 41, but it said the average person is making anywhere between 100 to 125. But because you add those things into it, are there specific teams that players are more advantageous to go to because of the winning culture, right? Like, for example, like the LA team, obviously it's an affiliate of the Lakers, but they haven't won at the same clip, whereas the Toronto affiliate, right, has won some chips. And do players look at it like that?
Like, look, we all like I can't sell. I'm speaking of our teams now as it relates to like players. You can't sell, and you can't sell. You're not selling. I can pay you more money because everybody makes the same salary. What you're selling is the opportunity to grow and develop. And like some teams have a track record for, here go all the guys that came through here and started here. And, this is what's, their future. This is what happened for them when they left here. So, 100%. But I think it's more based on, because in our league, like, guys are interested in how I can grow, how I can develop. They're betting on themselves, and they want, a team that's going to help them, reach their goals.
So what's some of the marketing initiatives that you guys have put in place over the last couple of years to help grow visibility for the G League?
Yeah, we have really, I think, strong partnership with the General, with marketing and content.
The insurance company?
Yes. So that's been we do a what's the name? The Break, where we've done content with them, and Shaq is a.
I was gonna say, yeah, Shaq.
Shaq is a big sponsor.
It's funny until it's not funny.
Then Shaq, obviously, is kind of the voiceover. Nike is, obviously, we're a Nike league, so that's the connection and benefit that we get from being connected to Nike is always huge. And then with the Gatorade, I think a lot of times what people miss is as the G League, like we're the Gatorade League, and that connection is huge. And then I think one that's new that's coming up is our partnership with the Hyatt, and what that did, that allowed us to take our G League Winter Showcase, which the last 4 years had been in Las Vegas. That's allowed us to take it, and now we'll be in Orlando, and that's all of our teams. You just think of like a basketball convention. That's all of our teams there, all of the NBA general managers.
Was it like Combine?
It's like combines on steroids, because they're actually playing, we're playing competitive games. You're playing real games. We've had, a couple years ago, you have players leaving from there, getting signed, going to NBA teams. We have our competition, like the first 14 games of our NBA season. We talked about in-season tournament before. The first 14 games of our season are essentially a tournament. And the top 8 teams from this part of our season, when we go to showcase, they're competing for $100,000. And, so then you break that up, 10 G League players, 10,000 a piece. Like our guys are, you add that to the 41.5, that, again, that takes that up. But that they're going for that, hard. But so all of those parts of, our season, that's included in that. But those are, I'd say to the question, obviously what we've done, with the General, that's a G League standalone partnership. It's not, NBA and G League. That's a G League partnership. Nike is huge, Gatorade is huge, and then what we're doing now with the Hyatt taking this event there, the showcase is really excited. But other things, J Lab. Moneyline, that's an Ignite partnership. OVO was an Ignite partnership. So a lot of them, but I'd say those are the ones that are doing kind of the most exciting things with us right now.
Yeah, let's talk about probably one of the biggest marketing moments in G League history.
The biggest.
I mean, Matt McClung, pride of Georgetown, wins the dunk contest, but he's a part of the G League, right? He's not on an NBA roster at the time. Talk about what that moment meant to the league.
I think when you say like partnerships and marketing, I think all these things that we do, like with the NBA, like you can't, like AllStar probably second to the finals is the biggest platform the NBA has. So for us to be able to come and find ways to be included in AllStar, last year we were included in every day of AllStar. So we were, we were a part of the rookie game. Now we're one of the teams. There's a G League team in the Rising Stars rookie sophomore game, dunk contest with Mac, and then we had our up next game on Sunday. And with Mac to be a G League player and to go not only won, but like did stuff like we hadn't seen that stuff before, right? Just really like put on the show, and you see all the Giannis and everybody else celebrating them. For our guys, that's everything, and the ability for us to then go and amplify that, those moments you can't. You gotta be ready for them. It's like you gotta be ready for those moments because you don't get them every day in the G League.
I can imagine the Sixers affiliate jerseys being sold out.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about, since you're talking about AllStar and partnerships, another extremely intelligent decision on you guys' behalf.
Yeah.
This
This is a bright league, man. Bright future ahead.
Very innovative, for sure.
Yep.
So Earn Your Leisure will be a part of this year's AllStar festivities with you guys, collaboration. So we're gonna be picking the AllStar team.
Gonna be drafting already.
And it's actually gonna be the EYL team.
That's a fact.
And then we're gonna be live streaming the game.
This is gonna be good. You played basketball your whole life.
For sure.
I don't think they know that. So this is gonna be fun to sit down and do a game, man. It's gonna be good.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. Whose bright idea was that?
So the idea of the game is, up next, that's, our best, our brightest G League players and, not All-Star because it's only one All-Star game, right? Like they all want to be in the big All-Star game. So that the concept of that is to be able to celebrate our G League players during All-Star weekend, bring them there. And then, we did that last year. Now said, our group, how can we make it even, something different, innovative, creative? And the idea there was, okay, let's kind of partner with someone to say, okay, you have your own team, pick the team. So we break the teams up into three teams, 4 teams. Mark was. Yeah, so we'll break the teams up into 4 teams. One of the teams will be the EYL team. You guys will be able to pick your own team. We're going to, the way the game will go, we'll try to, kind of make it 2K-ish, where it's, faster pace and kind of gamified. You'll be able to stream it on your platform. So distribute it in different ways, and just make it a different, again, like a different experience of a game, and get really creative. And you guys, being willing to be a part of that is obviously huge.
I'm telling you,
for us, and it's going to be, I think, again, empowering and a great opportunity for our guys.
General managers.
Yeah, I mean, I told the guys. I mean, I've been watching. I'm already watching the G League, but now I'm even more intently watching because I got to scout to see who's going to be on our team. Because we don't come to just be a part of things. Right. We only participate because we're coming to win everything. Yeah. So we appreciate the opportunity to come and win.
No doubt.
Yeah, but I definitely appreciate it for sure. And is this something that you guys want to do more of, as far as, untraditional type marketing, reaching, we're in a different world now, right? Where people are consuming content different. It's not just a matter of watching television, right? It's a matter of social media. It's a matter of YouTube. It's a matter of podcasts, a variety of different things. So, is that something that, you guys are embracing more on that online social media marketing type of platforms? Yeah,
no doubt. And we have to, one, just, like the younger fans that we want to reach, and that we want connected to the G League, and to be able to introduce, again, like new fans, younger fans, that we can even be the first stop to them becoming NBA fans. And then that's just, again, as a league, like when I talk about testing rules and introducing new concepts to the game, that's like League of Innovation. That's what we want to be known as. So I think this is even a further step in that direction.
All right, so again, this is taking place during All-Star Week, so this is going to be in Indiana this year. Yep. Talk about the timing that has happened, and get the details so everybody who wants to support can be there to support.
We'll hold the game Sunday, so it's Sunday afternoon before NBA All-Star Game. It'll be in the footprint. It's what you call crossover, so like in the footprint of the NBA activations going on. So if you're at NBA All-Star, like the NBA All-Star Game tickets are really, really hard to get. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people can't get those tickets. You can get a ticket to the Up Next game. So come to the Up Next game and cheer for, the future stars of the NBA. NBA.
How would they get a ticket? Just
NBA.com.
NBA.
NBA.com, NBA G
so
League.com.
that's part of the package of just not the All-Star game, but like they have a package where you could come to like the
all the fan fest,
convention
all the
center
fan
type thing.
Yes, all the fan fest.
And that's included in that.
Yes.
Okay. And this is exciting. Definitely looking forward to it for sure. Before we leave, any other initiatives that you guys are working on, or what's your vision for making this league as big as possible?
Well, obviously like I said, I think that for a long time our goal was having 30 G League teams to NBA teams, so we're really close to that. And then continue to create platforms and opportunities for our guys to grow on the court and off the court. So we talked about Ignite, but for all of our players, we offer them a continuing education program. We offer them job shadow programs. We offer entrepreneur programs where they continue to learn. So just continue to put the league in a place, put our players in a place where they can continue to grow and learn.
How do you feel about the state of basketball right now? A lot of people, the Europeans, they're taking over. It's an international game, and even how the game is played is more of a European style, the Euro step, right? And people are playing the game more different. Steph has changed the game as far as shooting threes. Now everybody shoots threes. At 12 years old, people come down from half court, shoot threes. You're a big man, but the big man is not really relevant in today's game anymore. 7-footers, Wembanyama 7'4", and he's a guard pretty much. So the game has changed a lot since the 90s and early 2000s and the golden age of the NBA, how people like to say. But I think it's in a good space. What are your thoughts as far as somebody that's actually played the game and you've seen different stages of the game, where we are now? How you feel about it?
I think the game is great, and I mean I even say that like with a critical eye. I'm not saying like I like every, I would like a couple of more post touches, but I think the game is great. I think the game is a global game. I think the idea that it has to be, how many Europeans or international players to taking over the game. I just think like good players, find their way to the best league in the world. And like the NBA is the best league in the world. I think styles, that evolves. Like, I think right now it's a style of, kind of 5-man out and, pace and, shooting a lot of perimeter shots. So that's the style that teams are seeing success with now. I think that'll evolve. I don't know if we'll ever go back to, when I had to come play the Knicks in the Garden and it was like Oakley and Mason and Charles Smith. I don't know if we're going to ever go back to that, but
Draymond has a swing.
But I think your game would have translated.
I think so.
Like knowing your game,
I think so.
I feel like, there's a Tim Duncan, but your game wasn't really Tim Duncan. You were almost like a face-up four in a sense where if you had to step back, I feel like Brook Lopez was a post-up man that now shoots more threes than anybody outside of Dame.
Well, you work on those, like you
evolve.
I didn't shoot a lot of threes, but I would have worked on, in this era, I would have worked on it more. I would have been more empowered to shoot them. The coaches would have encouraged, so I would have felt better.
Would have been on the floor.
But I think like all of that comes in kind of waves, and I think we'll see at some point based on like the talent and the type of players you see, you're gonna see a different way the game is played.
I think there's another evolution that's happening, and maybe most people aren't aware of, is players that are now in the exec position. When we talk about, we just sat down with Andre Iguodala, now at the NBA PA. Joe Dumars is here at the league. You're here. Talk about that evolution of guys now stepping in exec roles. Adam Silver probably, he won't be running the NBA forever, right? So now we got guys in training that a league that's dominated by people looking like us can now be run by people that look like us.
I mean, I'll go even like beyond that. I think that's a nice thing where you see. I came up where, there was a Joe Dumars running the team and a Billy Knight running the team and Stu Jackson. Mm-hmm. So like like we've seen that. Mm-hmm. Like what we see now with guys, I think that's really exciting is like they're like business prowess. Like a LeBron, the things that he's done, off the court, like he's, arguably the best player ever, right?
Arguably.
Thank you for
so I say that to respect,
you don't think he's the best player.
I always, like we didn't really get to see Oscar. We didn't really get to see, I saw Kareem, but we didn't really get to see Kareem. So I always think of it like I don't want to.
No, we saw Kareem.
My father, he taught me that. He's like,
the four fathers of the game.
Yeah, so I don't.
When he came into this league, there was a man dominating him. He wants to be respectful of the people who think that man.
Yeah, so that's all. I mean, but the things that they're doing, what Magic has done in ownership, Michael Jordan has done in ownership, that we hadn't witnessed that before. And I think seeing that, in addition to, you have Andre leading the players union now, and guys, doing things in different executive role. I think the combination of those two is really powerful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We appreciate it, and definitely
we're excited about the partnership.
For sure.
It's
For
gonna be
sure.
great.
Team EYL, we coming.
Yes.
Coming for the chip.
Well, I'm thinking even bigger. I'm thinking, there's a Phoenix team that's coming potentially.
There you go.
We're talking about ownership. I know some guys.
There you go.
I know some guys.
There you go. We connect you with the Suns.
Yeah,
put something together.
I'll go up to the 18th floor. We can talk about the Vegas team. We can talk about the Seattle team too.
All right.
Seattle. Soon come.
If we come.
Soon come. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.